Hey everyone, welcome back to the Agency Success GPS. My name is Lee Goff, your humble host. I have a wonderful gentleman on the line here with me today. His name is Nick Deck, and he is, I think, one of the co-founders. Are you the sole founder or co-founder? One of the co-founders.
We're co-founders. There's a
Okay.
handful of us that started this thing.
Okay, cool. And so they have a really cool spin. Uh, I dare to use the word VA because it's more than a VA. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today in today's episode. But he has a company that's called Agency Sidekicks, and what they do is they will take your average VA and then they'll take them and put them on steroids. So they will basically train them in all of the majority of those kind of really kind of time sucking tasks, the kind of things that you really should be delegating over there as an agency owner. And he has perfected the model around coming in and having someone off the shelf that you can hire that has agency experience and what you need to do it at the time. So I would like to welcome Nick Deck, the CEO and one of the co-founders of Agency Sidekicks. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Lee. Thank you. Uh, tell you what, happy to be here. Appreciate having me.
Oh man, thank you so much for taking your time out and come over here. I know we're both pretty busy guys, so I really appreciate it. So I don't know if I did a good job of introducing side agency sidekicks or not. Give us your do a quick 30-second minute. Hell, take 5 minutes if you want to. Explain what agency sidekicks is and how it can help make my agency's owners' lives easier.
Yeah, man. Thank you. So basically, I I learned the hard way that delegating is not an easy thing to do, especially when you're working with offshore help. I hired and fired a lot of EAs. I hired and fired a lot of team members in general in my agency. So we grew an agency from small to decent size in a short amount of time, and I spent way too much time in that hiring firing process. And you need to delegate if you're going to scale, but oftentimes people get stuck because they don't know how to delegate. They don't know how to hand things off. They don't know how to find the right people who they can hand things off to, or train those people up to do the things that they need them to do. So that was kind of the impetus behind this whole project. We basically take somebody who's just a damn good human being and put them through a training program, get them some on the job experience in our agencies and other, we get them working on these tasks, get them doing things. And so they've got the fundamentals of a wide variety of different digital marketing disciplines under their belt. And then I think the real value is that once they're on board, we don't just say, "Hey, here's a sidekick, bye." We help train and manage them on an ongoing basis. So, like, if you've got somebody who needs to learn Facebook ads or HubSpot or whatever it is, we take that and we focus and prioritize that training for them, so they get to learn the stuff you needed to learn without you having to train them. I'm not going to say that it's 100% on us because there's no way to do that. You gotta build them into your business, but basically what we help continue to train them, and if they get stuck on any of the stuff that they're working on with you, they come back to our team. So we've got a team of experts that they're just to support these guys. And so it ends up saving a lot of that babysitting, handholding kind of stuff that comes up when you're delegating stuff offshore. And there's all sorts of other stuff, but that's the 2 minute overview. I mean, that's the real value there.
I'm interested in hearing some of these specific tasks, but before we get into that, I deal with overwhelm, burnout. I'm sorry, not my students do. I have dealt with it before. I kind of hopefully I've learned to manage that a little bit better. I have no problem delegating now. Once you get used to delegating, it's something you actually really enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely an art form. You got to learn. It's a skill that you do have to learn. It's not something that, at least it didn't come naturally for me. I always found myself just like, oh, I can do that. I can always just kind of, yeah, always feeling like I do better. I hate to say it that way, but I feel like I could do better. I mean, so I wanted to do it myself. It's my clients. I felt like I had to go make sure it's perfect and all these different things. And I understand that mentality. But as you've alluded to, you can only do so much. And if you don't learn to delegate, then you're going to always be in that rat race of kind of just spinning around, never quite achieving the quality of life
Right.
that you
Absolutely. And
probably set out to do. And so
uh,
let's talk about that. Let's talk about some hurdles on how to overcome uh, the fear of delegating. So you got any tips on how to overcome the fear of delegating?
that's a good question. And I was, as I was listening to that, I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, in a lot of cases, you're probably going to be able to do the task better than the person you're delegating to. But if they can get it 90% of the way there and it accomplishes the same goal, in the end, It's just trying to get an outcome for the client, and whether or not that whatever that task is absolutely pixel perfect, absolutely perfect in your eyes. I think most of the time the client's going to be just as happy with what what you're delegating, or what you're the person you're delegating to is creating. So that's one thing. Just understanding that perfect is definitely the enemy of good, and sometimes you just got to get shit out there, like just got to get it live and get some market feedback.
Perfection kills profits all day. I say that all the time. Perfection. But by the way, perfection is an illusion. Okay. Perfection is your perceived value around what you think perfection is. There actually is no definition of perfection, because it's up to you to define how you think it's perfect. So don't get caught up in the perfection thing, because perfection definitely kills profits. And we know one thing I found in the delegating side of things is that whenever I got so busy that I couldn't give the amount of time I wanted to the task that I was doing, I found that I was giving it 20-30% of my effort, when in reality, it not only did the task merit 100% of my time, but the client, out of respect for the client, earned 100% of somebody's time on it. And I would caution agency owners out there from spreading themselves a little bit too thin. I know in my case that I would do it at the 20 to 30%, and I have to admit, a lot of times it would be better than just a normal, because I've had so much experience. Not that I'm that much better, it's just because I've been doing it so much longer that I can put it out faster. But when you do that, you're cutting corners on communications, you're cutting corners on expectations, you're cutting corners in a lot of different arenas. But most importantly is you're not training the person behind you that allow you to scale. And so if you don't go through the little bit of pain of delegating and letting them make a few stupid mistakes at your expense, by the way, it's going to be at your expense, and then going through that process with them, then you're always going to stay in that rat race, that cycle, to where you're never going to get out of it. And so my point being is that I got so busy that I would give it 20 to 30%, and I thought by handing it off, it wasn't going to get done as good as me. The opposite happened, in most cases, because I would delegate it to somebody who would actually take the time and sit and dive into all of the details. Whereas I was so busy, I'd peruse the email, get the 4 or 5 big points, address those, but there are probably 2 or 3 smaller ones that I just glossed right over because I was so busy. Well, whenever you delegate it to someone that you trust, like somebody from Agency Sidekicks, because they have, again, been trained to understand the agency life, that whenever they can actually take that time and dedicate to it, they're not glossing over those 2 or 3 things that could have been a big opportunity, or could have been what was really important to the client. And so just by someone else giving it 100% instead of you giving it your 30-40%, typically the performance, the output goes up, your time involved in it goes down, the client's response, client's value, client happiness goes up. Typically, it's almost always a good thing if you understand that when you delegate the first 1 or 2 times, there are going to be silly mistakes, right? And you're going to have to overlook those and kind of learn to grow with those, okay? And after they get through the first 2 or 3, then it should be you can delegate with confidence.
Yep.
So a very long-winded question. Where and how would you tell a control freak like I used to be to start delegating? How do you do it? I mean, where and how do you get started doing that?
Well, that right there is actually why we put together Sidekicks. I mean, that this whole project is because we still run the agency. It's still a great project, a great thing, highly profitable business. But I still, with all the people that I have on that team, find the absolute best bang for my buck coming out of this type of role, the Sidekick style role, where I'm handing stuff offshore. I'd say, I don't know, the vast majority of the actual hours that are worked in a week are done by the Sidekick style role in my agency. And that lets the specialists focus on the really high value tasks. And so, yeah, I would say starting with the simple stuff, all the stuff that you're looking at your task list for the day or for the week, and you're like, man, I should not be doing this, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like if you love it, great. If you hate it, why are you doing it? That kind of stuff. Like if you hate it and you can hand it off.
This is the example we talked about, everybody if you listen to my podcast, we'll do a little pre-interview before this to kind of hopefully try to get on the same page. And the example that Nick and I came up with is the executive assistant. By far is, the very first hire probably everybody should have as an executive assistant to take care of those just silly, mundane, reschedule this, Go log in and do this and click that button. Go install this plugin in WordPress. Go tell my sister that I can't make it to lunch, or I don't care what it is. You know what I'm talking about? Just a mundane, little bitty, repetitive task that don't take a lot of thought, don't take a lot of brain power, just takes time. Start there. You know what I mean? Start there. The simple stuff. I mean, like, take the trash out, or and that's if you got somebody local. But if not, then but I mean, just any little thing like that. Like I need somebody. It's the little things like
checking my inboxes every day. Like, how about this for my sales process? Like, I have everything just funneled through my Slack channel. I got somebody checking my inboxes. Like, what do I do with this? In my case, it's a little more advanced than that. But start with little stuff like that. So you're not logging into a bunch of email accounts or a bunch of LinkedIn accounts and all that stuff. If you can, because they can just funnel it all into one place for you. That's one.
Well, and they just forward the 3 or 4 that you actually got to focus on. The other 50, they can respond, no, I'm not interested. Delete, delete. Hey, this looks pretty good. Let me line up a meeting with Nick. That kind of stuff. I'm telling you, that right there will save you 2 hours, an hour or two a day just by doing that. Really simple stuff. Again, don't give them the super complex stuff. Don't give them the highly creative stuff. Don't give them the stuff you enjoy doing. Give them all that crap you can't stand doing. That's the point. That's the point. And so pick, I don't know what entry level program you have. I have to admit, I didn't see the pricing on it, but start small with the VA or preferably agency sidekicks, because again, they are specifically trained for the agency life. And give them 10 hours a week towards reading through your emails and deleting the BS and forwarding you the important stuff, or reading through support tickets, or sending out invoices and reminding them that they're 15 days late, and the little bitty things. A great example is just have them call all your old prospects for the last 6 months, knowing you never have time to do that. You have a VA, get them on the phone. Hey, I'm calling on behalf of Nick. I know you've been busy. He's been busy as well. He just wanted to see what's up. Oh, wow, look at you, man. Look at you, you're growing, Nick. People are thinking, you're growing. You got a secretary now. I'm like, I know, and anyway, and I'm telling you, it actually is a win all the way around. So, but those little bitty things, the sooner you can start to delegate that, the sooner you'll be on your way to living the quality of life that we all hopefully set out to do.
I agree. So, yeah. I agree. And honestly, that's the kind of stuff that also takes very little to explain to somebody. Like, and really, when it comes down to it, like that's the stuff you need to start with. Sidekicks allows you to take it quite a bit further. We've got, like I said, we've got people that are trained up at a wide variety of tools. We continue to train them. We get them, we got people who are doing some pretty sophisticated tasks these days because they've spent some time learning it, first of all, and then they've kind of been hand molded into these agencies, and now they're taking on, for example, you got a paid media, like a media buyer that doesn't need to be setting up custom conversions, deploying pixels, actually deploying and making those changes, pulling reports, that kind of stuff. They can be focused on strategy, which is what you're really paying a media buyer for. You're not paying them to click buttons and go in and spend a couple hours a day on that kind of stuff. So that's you can get somebody, you can pull, if you've got that on your team, you can pull time off of your experts plate too, your specialist plate, and you can start getting a lot of ROI on those high value wages, high value roles that you've staffed. Like if you're paying somebody $25 to $50 an hour, make sure they're doing stuff that's worth $25 to $50 an hour. Don't be having them stuff you can do for $10 an hour, things like that. So,
well, let's get into some of those specific tasks, because that really is kind of the USP around agency sidekicks over just traditional VA. And for the record, let's understand, traditional VAs, man, they might be working for a CPA literally the hour before they get on the phone with you. Okay, so they might be in accounting mode before they even get over to you when you need them in marketing mode. So those VAs typically are working in wide varieties of different industries and different tasks and things like that. They're not hyper focused on the precise tasks that we need in the agency world. Case in point would be basic Facebook ad management. So I'm assuming you guys have agency sidekicks that can help with that kind of stuff. Give me some specific tasks that are specifically related to agency life, agency world. Like, I need you to manage my CRM. I need you to help me in my project management platforms. I need you to help me with writing blogs. I need you to help me with Google PPC and CPC and Facebook, some very specific tasks that you guys can do that you're not going to find at another traditional run-of-the-mill VA shop. What are some of those tasks?
Absolutely. So basically, the way that we break it down is like it's anything that doesn't require a specialist. So I'm gonna tell you what they're not, and then I'm gonna tell you what they are. So basically, they're not dedicated graphic designers or devs or sales copywriters. First of all, if you're doing highly sophisticated sales copy, keep it in the English speaking market. Get somebody who's speaking the local dialect as their native language. But yeah, they're not the specialists that are going to go in there and they don't do CSS and HTML and things like that. Beyond they can jump into Canva and build up some graphics, things like that. But they're not designers that are dominating the Adobe suite. What they are the people who can go in and you say, hey, give me, I need to optimize this website. This client just came on and we need to do, all their on-page optimization. So they can put together title tags and descriptions and do some keyword optimization on the page copy. They can optimize alt tags, stuff like that. And like we talked about, they can do something. If you've got a media buyer, if you do all your media buying, they can do all the support work there. If you guys do a lot of PPC, they can do the keyword research, build out positive and negative keywords. They can they can throw together some ad copy from time to time, depending on the complexity of the offer too. That's going to be something where if you've got some like highly complex biotech product, you probably want to be the one handling strategy and copywriting for some PPC ads. Whereas if you're doing chiropractic, you can, turn your sidekick loose with it. But they can go in and manage campaigns and they can monitor things. They can pull all your reports. They can be the day-to-day execution in all those platforms. If you've got stuff in, you're deploying automations and building out workflows in HubSpot, things like that. These guys learn all these platforms. If you, like you said, update, keep my CRM up to date, make sure as you work through people through your sales process, it keeps you out of having to actually do all that manual stuff. Go ahead.
One good example that I have a tendency to see is that a lot of people when they're doing SEO, they do focus on the technical side, but they forget about the reporting side. Being able to actually show a nice, good, fancy report at the end of the month showing exactly what has happened. Now, and again, if you're in the habit of just spitting one out of SEMrush, I'm going to politely caution you. The data in SEMrush is great, don't get me wrong, but don't just send that over because first off, the clients are gonna be like, what the hell did you say? It's gonna be like overkill for them. They're not gonna know what the hell's going on, right? And the reality is it's just gonna be like, it's gonna be dramatic. It's gonna confuse them probably. It's gonna do that. But most importantly, it's gonna get them asking a ton of questions about stuff that they probably don't need to be asking questions about. So just generate your very nice custom report about a sidekick. That's perfect for a sidekick. They know how to go into Google Analytics. They know how to pull this out. They know how to go into the Google AdWords and pull this out. And they know how to they know how to go log into these different platforms, pull out what you want, and compile that report, which would typically take your time an hour or so to do that. So if you have 10 of these a month, that's perfect for a sidekick. I mean, absolutely perfect. They can log in, screenshot, write the report up real quick, send it over to you. You take 5 minutes adding your voice to it, making sure it's where you want it, and then you present it. And wow, now you're charging another $100, $200 a month for the SEO services, and entrepreneurs will love you for it. They have no problem paying that additional money because they want to know where their money's going, the reporting side of things. And people have a tendency to really overlook that kind of repetitive type task because it's very time consuming. Those are the kind of tasks that can make a big difference. That's the kind of tasks that can get your billable hourly, your billable really high if you just have basic repeatable tasks like that. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's it. Honestly, I would never turn anybody loose without some sort of quality assurance, some sort of supervision. And that goes for people who are making $50+ an hour. Like I still have QA in place in all of my workflows to make sure there's somebody checking their work. So in this case, that's the perfect example. Like turn them loose with a big project, spend 5 minutes reviewing it, making sure it's all good. And then you can send it over to the client. I mean, it's the kind of thing where if you've got, you touched on this earlier, where you're like, yeah, I could probably do this faster. And oftentimes you can, I could probably hand this project off in about as much time as it would just take me to do it. But the problem is you're going to have to do that the next time. And
every time. Yeah.
If you train somebody how to do it in that time, use that time wisely, then you never have to think about it again. You might have to give them a little bit of feedback here and there every once in a while, but you never have to think about that again because they've learned how to do it because you've taken the time to show them how. You've held their hand through it once and then they're good to go.
That's exactly right. And so you're right. It will probably take you longer to show them how to do it the first time. Okay. And if it's just a task that you're only going to have to do one time, then yeah, maybe just knock it the hell out. But if it's something you're going to have to do repeatedly, and I promise you the majority of your tasks you do have to do repeatedly, take that extra time. Take that extra, if it takes you 10 minutes to do it, take 30 minutes at one time to show your sidekick how to do it. And you just saved 10 minutes a week. Now multiply that times 20 tasks a week. It's not rocket
Exactly.
science. I mean, now all of a sudden you just got 3 to 4 hours back a week. You know, you literally just got 2 extra days a month to spend with your kids or go on your boat or go hang out on the beach with Nick. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's where Nick is right now. You still on the beach down there, dude?
I'm still on the beach, man.
He's still on the
And
beach,
I'll tell
man.
you what, it's sun is shining, birds are chirping, skies are blue. So I want to be out there more than
I
ever.
don't blame you. I know. I don't blame you. I want to be out there too. So,
You know what?
um,
That's the point. It's like every hour you get off to you hand off to a sidekick is an hour you've got back somewhere else. Like that's something that either you're not doing, which is probably the most critical thing, or some of your, the people you're paying a lot of money aren't doing.
exactly. So something just died. I don't know if you heard that in the background, but something. Did you hear that?
You got, those are the reason that
Yeah.
some of the main reason behind sidekicks, right? Those are my little ones that I want to spend all my time with.
That's exactly right. You know, we were, as a matter of fact, we were talking about that the other day, and I got my little sidekick right there. You know, my little girl. We're actually about to go on a 3-week camping trip. We're excited about that. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. So, again, if you are a control freak or if you're overworked, you got to look into agency sidekicks. The task, and on agency sidekicks, there's a list of things that these guys and girls can do for you. Okay, I'd suggest you go over there and just kind of take a look at that. And if any of those items on that list, oh, I do that more than once a week, okay, or typically more than once a month. Honestly, if you're going to do this reporting, for 4 clients a month, figure out a way to delegate it. If you're going to send out invoices to more than 10 or 15 clients a month, of which I hope you are, figure out a way to delegate it. Okay, if you're going to be doing, let's say you're an hourly agency and people ask you for time, right? I want to see how my time was tracked. Well, first off, don't ever just export a time log. You have to have somebody to go look at that, okay, and clean that time log up before you get it over to them. That's perfect for a sidekick, okay. So all of these tasks are so easy just to delegate out, and these are the ones that consume all your time. This is what keeps you up till midnight, okay. This is how you get to go to sleep. I'm sorry, you get to have dinner with your kids, God forbid, right, at 6 or 7, hang out with your wife or husband or whoever, okay, and then actually have a conversation, a legitimate conversation while you're not thinking about work, and then maybe actually go to bed together at the same damn time. Wouldn't that be nice? So uh, again, that delegation is your friend. Figure out, the top 3 things you can delegate. Go out, and what's the smallest package they can get with you, Nick, to kind of test, test this thing out? How can they just test out agency sidekicks?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So basically, what we do is we're kind of bridging the gap between just being able to jump on Upwork and find anybody, for just start a contract with anybody, and having to hire somebody. So we got a $10 an hour, 15 hours a week is the minimum. It's week to week. If you don't love it after the first week, you can keep, you can cancel right away. We always ask people to give it a good old college try and stick with it for 3-4 weeks if they're serious, because it does take a couple weeks just to kind of get everybody integrated in their workflows.
Well, and the first sidekick you might not be a good fit for you. Ask for another side. If you don't like the one you get, ask for another one. Go through. It's nothing wrong with going through 2 or 3 or having them make 2 or 3 mistakes. That's growing. That's growing. That's growth. And do not be afraid to push back and say, hey, you know what? This one's personality, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Give me another one or whatever. And so get out there and give it, like you said, the old college try. Give it at least 3 or 4 weeks. But I swear, I think you just got through saying for about $150.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so let me get this straight. So you're down on the beach in some exotic country down there. So $150 might buy you a house down there. But up here in America, $150 is going to get you a Starbucks and a stick of gum. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for a Starbucks, a stick of gum, and maybe a little dinner or whatever, you can actually test this thing out and save yourself, 10 hours in 1 week. And again, you will not regret it. Do not expect it to be perfect. I'm trying to set the proper expectation levels here. There will be hiccups. You might not like their personality. You might not get, just might not be the perfect fit. But give it 2 or 3 weeks. Give it 2 or 3 weeks. Give it a legitimate shot. Take the time and train these people. They're going to come with the base knowledge in CPC and base knowledge in a lot of the platforms that you're going to need.
Mm.
But how you specifically want it done, it's going to take your time to train them. So put in that extra hour or two that it would above and beyond that it would normally take you to do that task. Show the sidekick, and then let them do it the next week, and then let them do it the next week, and just keep repeating that process. Do one or two a week. That's it. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill your sidekick either. Or don't kill your wallet. Okay. Just pick one a week or one or two a week. Slowly do it, and then wait a month, and let's see how much time you got. Okay. And I can almost guarantee you will end up with a minimum of 10 to 20, possibly 20 to 30 hours every month that you didn't have before. And it's going to cost you a grand total of, I don't know, $300-400 a month.
Yeah, it ends up,
you know,
the ROI is high. You know, that's
very high.
The end result is like you end up with, and honestly, one of the things that we haven't talked about yet is that this is really for people who have either never really delegated before or tried and failed. You know, this is a really good platform for those kind of people, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that have hired VA. I've done it. I've hired staffing agencies. I've hired all sorts of stuff. I spent way too much time on Upwork. But one of the things that we didn't talk about was the fact that beyond your sidekick having support, you know, your sidekick doesn't come to you if they get stuck on the how-to. But what happens if you have the same need for support? We've got you covered there too. So basically, we've been there. We've learned the hard way how to delegate these things. We've you know, I've made this my superpower. Either me or a member of my team who has worked in the agency, they're there, and you say, "Hey, I've got this thing I want to get off my plate and onto my sidekicks." We jump on a call. We say, "This is how we do it. We bridge the gap. We build the SOP, whatever it is, and we help you through it." You know, it's not all on you. It's not. We're there to hold everybody's hand, not just the sidekicks.
Oh, okay. You know what? Somehow I missed that. So in other words, let me get this on to make sure I heard that right. So not only does your sidekick take some of this mundane task off, but if you're not exactly sure how the hell to delegate this stuff or even how to do it in the first place, then you or another thought leader of your team, might not be you personally, but another thought leader, subject matter expert thought leader, is going to get on the phone with them and kind of coach them through how to delegate this and what this should look like, and possibly even have some SOPs to help you delegate and get this stuff handed off. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a ton of SOPs. Our sidekicks have an SOP for building SOPs. So if you do something a certain way, they know how to go through and document, like as they're doing the task, they'll document it and build you out an SOP so that you can build out your SOP library. Honestly, we could unpack the value here for quite a bit longer. There's a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes. You get a lot of other things that we haven't talked about, but it's certainly worth a chat. If you're interested in delegating, if you've either never done it well before, or if you've tried and failed, this is a really good solution for people like you.
All right, and this is the shameless plug moment. So take a couple of minutes. How do people get in touch with you? You know, where do they go to find you? How can they test drive this thing? You know, shameless plug. 2 minutes. Go.
Shameless plug is good. I feel like I'm not very good at shameless plugs, but I'm gonna go there and throw it out there. This is a business decision that you have to evaluate. So first of all, go check out the website. It's simple. It's agencysidekicks.com. Go run through it, read through it, see if it resonates with you, see if the tasks that we list out there make sense, see if it's stuff that you do and stuff that you can get off your plate, something that will provide value. After that, I think it's worth a 15-20 minute chat just to see what I get on the phone with everybody still, because it's one of those things that I haven't delegated yet with sidekicks. I did it on the agency side. I haven't done it with sidekicks, but I still get on the phone with people. I evaluate what you got going on, and I'll tell you whether or not it's a good fit. I tell people all the time it's not a good fit based on either the types of things they're doing, the size they are, you know, all the different things that can kind of disqualify somebody. Because we do a lot of heavy lifting in the beginning, and it's not good business for us to bring somebody in who's not a good fit and then have them, you know, take off after a few weeks. If we tell you this is a good fit for you, it's a good fit. We'll work hard to make sure that you've got all those things delegated the right way. You know, like I'm saying, there's a lot of other things that are going on behind the scenes. So jump on the phone with us. There you can book a call there on the website. If you want to message me directly, just see if you want to just kind of chat without getting on the phone, find me on Facebook, Nick Deck. I'm easy guy to send me on Messenger. You know, hit me up on Messenger. I'll be happy to have a chat and go back and forth and kind of evaluate your particular use case. I think that's another good way. It's a human to human business, you know. That's
definitely so. Well, Nick, I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll let you get back to that beach and those kids down there. So, any parting thoughts, or are we good to go, or how you feeling over there?
No, I'm feeling really good. I will say that we spent the last week with some unusual rain. So the fact that the sun's out means that I am actually probably going to take the kids and get them outside, get on the beach. So yeah, I think we are good to go, sir.
All right, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Nick. Again, agencysidekicks.com, or you can always go to marketingagencycoach.com. We are, Agency Sidekicks is on my partner page there. I think it's the second or third menu item. It says partners. Click on that, and you will see not only Agency Sidekicks, but a lot of other wonderful resources for you as well. Lee Goff signing off, Agency Success GPS. Everybody have a blessed day out there.